Hello and welcome to episode 50 of Game Patrol. I'm your host, Landon Plumley, and look at that. We've made it halfway to triple digits, and it only took a year, almost 2 years. It's been a wild ride for this podcast, but thank you to each and every person who listens, watches, consumes this content in any way. I really do appreciate it. This is one of my favorite things to do. I love sitting for an hour and talking about video games with people. It's a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun. Hopefully you do too. So, without further ado, I've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. I'm really excited. First off, I am sorry for not uploading an episode last week. I'm not going to lie, it just completely slipped my mind. And it sucked because I had every opportunity to do it when I usually do. It's just I completely forgot. And then after that, I just got super busy with the big topic for this week, which is Far Cry 6. So I received an early code from Ubisoft. Huge thanks to them. I've literally been so ecstatic to play the game. And I have had a blast, albeit with a few things that I, am kind of upset with that I'm going to get into here. But if you haven't already, go over to my channel over at Pandamaster. If you're on YouTube already, just go ahead and it's in my channel links. And if you are listening on podcast services, then it will be on, if you just search up Pandamaster, it's not too difficult to find. But I have a review in progress over there, as I've only put 12 hours into the game thus far because my life sucks. I haven't had much time to play. Technically, I've put in maybe closer to 18 hours now, but I also that's all been from streaming. So I've only put in 12 hours into the game's content itself, because all that has been replaying stuff, that extra 6 hours. And so I've put in 12 hours into the game, and these are my thoughts. These are how I feel. Like I said, it's much more articulate and summed up in the review in progress, which you can go check out. But here I'm going to go in depth and all of that. And to all my people who are coming over here from the main channel or from my Twitch, hello, hi, how are you? But yeah, Far Cry 6. So I have been a huge fan of Far Cry for a very long time. The first Far Cry I played was 3. I've played all of them except for this. I kind of lapsed for a while. I didn't play 4 or Primal, then got into 5 and didn't play New Dawn. I've also never played Blood Dragon, but don't tell anybody. I'll be getting a new version of that soon with this game, though, so, I'll get my chance. But anyway, Far Cry 3 is a fantastic game. I loved it a lot. And now Far Cry 6 feels like a sequel, like a true sequel to that game versus any of the others. The first game was at an island, and, that kind of set the scene for Far Cry. And then the third game returned to that setting and made it even better. The hope would be we come back to this setting once again in Far Cry 6 and that it be, the best thus far. And it didn't really do that. But, at least from what I've played thus far. And honestly, the biggest thing comes down to something I'm going to talk about in a little bit, because I want to focus on all the positive stuff here first. First off, the biggest thing that there are probably 3 pillars that I really enjoy in this game. One is the characters specifically. I think the story is serviceable enough in what I've played so far, but there is an eclectic cast of characters in this game, something we didn't really have in Far Cry 3, but has been becoming more and more of a staple to the Far Cry franchise. Far Cry 5 had a really big cast as well. And so, first off, Giancarlo Esposito, who plays Anton Castillo, the main villain, he does a phenomenal job. It's impossible for him to be bad. You know what I mean? And so his performance is really good, but there's also a lot of other great performances. There's also a lot of inclusivity. One of the main characters is trans, so A+ on that front from Ubisoft, and you just have a lot of Latin American representation here. I can't necessarily speak to whether it's good or not, seeing as I am Caucasian, but I don't know. I did see someone talk like kind of badly about the game in regards to that, but I'm not so sure yet. Again, also I haven't finished it, so it's hard. But generally, um, people don't like bad takes on, or people don't like harsh landscapes being put on their landscape, if you understand what I'm saying. But me personally, I'm getting a little tired of people griping about that. I think there is a way you can do that distastefully. If you were like, say, go over to Russia, like the Call of Duty problem, where it's like portray the Russian stereotypes and all this stuff. And I feel like you could make a case for Latin American, or not Latin American, but well, yeah, it would be because it's South America. So yeah, Latin American stereotypes. There could be a case made that there's plenty of that here, but I didn't really notice a lot. But again, it's kind of outside my area of expertise. But there's always that argument of like, oh, they depict us as this war-torn landscape and, this almost third-world country, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, like, you can't really say that about Far Cry too much because Far Cry 5 was set in Montana and it made fun of Trump supporters. So it's like, Far Cry makes digs at everybody. You know what I'm saying? And so, you can talk about what's in taste and what's not. But I do think, like, criticism can be valid. You know what I'm saying? And so there's a fine line between, criticism and artistic representation of, like, influenced by historical events. You know what I mean? Like, because, again, this is a fictional island, right? So it's not, it obviously takes inspiration from things, but it's not, it's not a historical genre. It's not, historical fiction. It is just fiction, right? And so, but it obviously takes heavy inspiration from places like Cuba. And so, yeah, at least as far as I didn't seem too bad for me. But again, that's just kind of where I'm at there. But I really, really like the characters in this game. I'd love to get to know them more. Danny Rojas, the person that you play, as, who can be a boy or a girl. I've always ran with the girl because that's who they were with the marketing, and I like her performance a lot too. Her performance has been great. In terms of character, I would like to see her more fleshed out. Might see that later on, again, since I haven't finished the game. We'll see. I'm hoping to play more tonight, fingers crossed, but I've been up early, so I'm probably not going to do that. I'm probably heading straight to bed after I get off work, but whatever. And so, yeah, I really like the characters in this game, for one. Secondly, the amigos in this game. So this is kind of the new, like, Fangs for Hire system that I believe, was that introduced in 5 or was that in 4 as well? I don't remember. Well, yeah, because I feel like Primal had it. But you know what I mean? So it's kind of a system that's been around for a little while. But the amigos system, just, it's beautiful. In terms of companions and how useful they are, honestly, like, now Guapo, the attack crocodile you have, I love Guapo. He is probably my favorite companion that I've used, for the simple fact that he is the most useful, because he basically, and how amigos work in this is, as they're used, they basically get stronger. They unlock new abilities through doing certain things. So some of them are easier than others. Like Guapo is basically, he just does his own thing, because first you unlock the ability to, like, I don't remember the exact order of this, but I think you first gain the ability to actively heal during combat, and basically, and I think the way to unlock that is to just have Guapo kill people, like kill enough people, and then it's like, if you then, if he heals himself up enough, he gains the ability to just revive himself in combat, and then, something like that. I don't remember the exact, how it works. But basically, he's awesome if I just take him into the heat of battle, and he'll just go chomping on people. And if he does go down, he will pick himself back up. And it's just, it's fantastic. And so, if you stick with Guapo and get his abilities, worked out, it's fantastic. And so, Sorry, I got a text, so I was checking it because I didn't know if it was important. But yeah, if you keep with Guapo, he's easily the best one, at least from what I've played so far. I think I've unlocked all of the companions. There might be one amigo that I haven't found yet. I also have 2 DLC ones that I haven't checked out yet because I've been wanting to get in proper time with all of the other amigos. But yeah, there's Guapo, there's Chorizo, which I wish was my favorite. He's my favorite of the 2 in terms of spunk because he's the adorable little dog that made me want to get this game in the first place. And you know, there are side missions surrounding him, and he's fantastic, and I love Chorizo. But you know, he's not quite as useful. He's more of like distract enemies. But like, stealth is kind of sort of useless in this game. Like, once you get a good enough arsenal, you can kind of like you can play around with it a bit more. But in the early game especially, stealth is just really hard and annoying, and so Chorizo kind of helps with that. But overall, it's much easier just to kind of go guns blazing with it because otherwise it gets very tedious. Plus, you can just have a lot of fun creating chaos in this game. And so, yeah, there's him. There is Chicaron, the attack rooster, who is obsessed with taking down Castillo. I love this little rooster so much. There are basically missions involving you protecting Chicaron because he goes to take on the whole army by himself, and you have to basically make sure he doesn't die in the process because he's just a rooster. But he kicks a lot of ass. He does kick a lot of ass. I'll give him that. And then there's one his name's Boom Boom, who is a dog who will help collect resources for you. So he's nice. It's kind of like a nice little quality of life improvement. So I feel like I more so now find myself, if I'm not actively in combat, I will have Boom Boom on me. And so if I do have any stealth, I don't have to worry about going over the bodies. He'll just go collect everything for me. And then if I get into a combat situation, I'll just quickly summon Guapo, and he'll just, get on him because you can swap them really quickly like that. And that's probably maybe a secret 4th thing that I like best in this game is that everything you have is swappable. So, for instance, like the upgrade system in this game is more so like every weapon you have in the game can like be serviceable in the end game if you just improve it at workbenches. So there's not really any bad weapons per se. Like, there are weapons that might have a little better stats, but overall it's perk based really. So it's about swapping your arsenal constantly to better fit the mission you're doing. So it's not so much about getting the best gear, it's about having a bunch of gear at your disposal. And so that's kind of nice. It allows for a lot of player choice, and it does detract from progression though, because you as a player don't really feel any stronger than you were at the start. You more so just have a lot of stuff, and I talk about this in my review in progress. But yeah, so it's kind of like a double-sided, it's a double-edged coin, you know what I mean? I forget what the actual saying for that is, but yeah. And so but anyway, the amigos are really fun. And so my 3rd official thing right after I take this drink here are the resolver weapons. So this is another one of the big reasons why I wanted to get this game, is because of just some cool weapons that were being shown off. Now, I haven't used all of them. Obviously, you unlock more as you rank up, and so but so far one of my favorites is there's this like really powerful like revolver-esque pistol that also has a shield attached with it, so it does a shit ton of damage. It's basically like a shotgun pistol. It's like is it the Mozambique in Apex? That's like a sidearm shotgun basically, but it kind of serves like that. But it has a fair amount of range to it, but then it detaches a shield, so it basically makes you like impossible to hit in front in combat. So it makes combat so much easier. It's definitely my go-to resolver weapon right now. But there's all kinds of wacky stuff. Like there's this one that shoots out poison gas that can sometimes turn the enemies on your side. And then there's this really powerful nail gun that's really good for stealth. And just a lot of other custom weapons that I've been having a lot of fun with, and to the point that I really don't touch the standard weapons in the game. You know, like I use my machete for stealth, but otherwise, like I mean, that is I also use my sidearm a lot because I have a DLC pistol that is Blood Dragon inspired, and it's a burst pistol that also has it has a muffler on it, so I use that a lot for stealth because the nail gun can be kind of hard to be accurate with sometimes. So I'll kind of swap between like the nail gun and the pistol given the situation. But other than my sidearm, I really just use resolver weapons mostly instead of using the standard weapons because they're more fun. And so those sort of things are what I really, really like about the game, and it has a just cause aspect like to it. Like it feels like I'm playing the love child of Far Cry 3 and Just Cause 2, and those were kind of like that was like the golden era of games for me, you know, just that 360 era of titles that I just really enjoyed, and I feel like was a little golden age of games at the time for me personally. And so it gives me a lot of vibes of those old games, which I appreciate. The problem is that everything aside, and I mean everything aside from the stuff I just said, feels like it has been taken straight out of like the last 3 Ubisoft games. And that's the biggest problem, is the quote Ubisoft formula, right? So Ubisoft has been accused of reusing assets for years. And honestly, like, I don't necessarily blame them. I mean, plenty of developers reuse assets. Like, people are getting upset. Well, not people. It's really Xbox users who don't even matter anyway in this conversation are complaining that God of War Ragnarok is using assets from God of War. Well, duh, it's a sequel. It's a direct sequel. Of course it's going to reuse assets. It doesn't make sense not to. You know, you take your basis of the last game and you build upon it. You know, it makes sense. Far Cry 6, however, it's not a direct sequel to anything, and as such, it's like it needs to have that sort of like unique factor. And so it seems like the biggest thing they were trying to do to make this game unique was, you know, you've got the whole kind of like the resolver weapons almost, although that's not entirely unique really. It's more so just that they have unique guns, but it also like kind of like the perk system versus a more standard upgrading system. And also enemies are basically, there are different types of enemies in that there are certain types of ammo that damages them more depending on the type of enemy they are, which I pay almost zero attention to that. I know it'll help you out more if you do, but it's so annoying to constantly look at every enemy and just be like, oh, okay, so he requires soft ammo, so I should use the gun with it. It's so tedious and stupid, so I never pay attention to that. I'm just like, I want to use this gun. I'm going to kill him with this gun. And so it's not something I like doing at all. But yeah, those sort of things, they feel like things that were added in there so that they could avoid the complaints that I'm saying right now of this is the same as every other thing. It's more Far Cry, it's more Ubisoft. Honestly, this game feels closer to like a first-person Ghost Recon Breakpoint than anything else. Like the setting's very similar. It's got kind of like similar HUD elements and just kind of setup. Obviously, having the same engine doesn't help the situation, but it feels so similar to all the other Ubisoft games I've played. And I understand why. I mean, this is the 6th main entry in a franchise that's been going for decades and like published by a company that has published hundreds of games. And so, you know, it makes sense why these things would overlap. But I think just the problem which Ubisoft has faced before when thinking of Assassin's Creed is Ubisoft will churn out these games as fast as possible to keep getting in that revenue. And so the problem with it is that they're just not distinct enough to really like mean anything. And now the recent Assassin's Creed games, which have learned from this lesson, like Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla, I've loved every single one of those. They're fantastic because they have their own separate identities now, and each of them have added something really, really cool to the franchise that I've loved. I love all three of those games. So if they can just take what they learned from Assassin's Creed and apply it to all their other franchises, they would be fine. I really, really love Assassin's Creed again, which makes me happy because I'm obsessed with Assassin's Creed and it was dipping. And so now I can be like, these are amazing games again. I can't say that about any of the other franchises. I can't say that about Ghost Recon. I can't say that about Far Cry. It's a good game. It's not a great game. If you enjoy the genre, you're gonna enjoy the game. So don't go about don't see this as like, oh, I shouldn't necessarily get this game. If you're the type of gamer that like you only like these types of games, or you get really hyped about these games and you really love them, you're gonna have a fun time with this. I don't know if you necessarily, it kind of depends on your hype levels, whether you want to buy it right now or wait for a sale, but you'll have fun with the game. It's just, don't expect anything like super, super innovative. Like, it's not going to win Game of the Year. It probably won't be on any lists for it either. But, it is fun enough, and I'm sure it's going to sell well and do that. I really hope we don't get Far Cry 7 anytime soon. I hope that they take a step back and kind of like focus on something else from now, something different. I'm not saying they should kill the Far Cry franchise. Not necessarily. I mean, just take a step back for a while, try something else out, and just don't come out with another Far Cry game until they can truly deliver something innovative. I don't want the little minor tweaks, because this feels like a game I've already played before. It's just slightly different. It feels more so like an expansion than an actual full new game. And so it's not what I hoped for the future of Far Cry. And so like it's kind of like a half step in the right direction, but it's not quite there. And I think the biggest reason why that's a thing, which I'll explain once I take this drink, I think the biggest thing for that is sorry, there's a Discord just got spammed, and so I was like, what the hell is going on here? Anyway, there's a lot more competition nowadays. 5 years ago, like even, like at the time of Far Cry 3, let's look at it this way. When Far Cry 3 came out, there was a lot less competition in the shooter market. Don't get me wrong, there was still plenty by that point, but compared to today, you have a lot more people out there. You have a lot more developers in the games industry making good games. And so this type of gameplay 5 years ago would have done a lot better than it's doing today, because there's less competition. But I think, as more and more people get into the games industry, as more and more developers create some truly great content, it's just Ubisoft needs to step up their game more. This type of stuff doesn't cut it anymore. And so if they want to really make fans happy, if they want to deliver something that will truly be like very well received, they can't keep taking shortcuts, which seems to be their company's philosophy, and they've already learned that lesson with Assassin's Creed, and they've already changed their ways on that, So the fact that they're still doing it with their other franchises is just weird and frankly stupid, Like I understand it probably saves a lot of time and money, but in the long run, they'll make up that money if they provide something that's truly, truly awesome. Like Assassin's Creed Valhalla was the best-selling game in the entire franchise because people loved Origins and Odyssey. It was a great launch game for next gen, and it was just a really good game in general. And so it sold really, really well. And so obviously that works. But instead, Ubisoft announced a few months ago, which I believe I talked about on here maybe, that they were moving away from AAA games and they want to focus more on like free-to-play games and live service games and stuff like that, which is dumb. Like personally, because I'm not a fan of those games compared to what we have now. I like these types of games. I just want them to have quality. And so if they take what they've done with the Assassin's Creed franchise and apply it to everything else, instead of being like, oh, well, people obviously don't want these anymore, that's not it. We just don't want the same thing over and over again. That's the thing. That's what we want. But, whether or not Ubisoft will listen to that, who knows. But I know there's a lot of great people at Ubisoft. Like, I know, like, some of the executives there, who know, like, we've had plenty of issues with the Me Too movement over at Ubisoft, and, I don't support that in any way. I support the movement against it, of course, but, there's still all that going on that we're still seeing continue to unfold. But, the people I've talked with at Ubisoft in regards to this game, and also over at Immortals Phoenix Rising with Ubisoft Montreal, like, fantastic people. I have loved everybody I've talked to at Ubisoft. They're all super nice and super hardworking, and they love their craft. That's why I loved Immortals Phoenix Rising so much, is because it was original. Ubisoft has the talent and the capacity to make some really amazing original games. I feel like a big problem of this is coming from the corporate level. I don't think developers over at Ubisoft Toronto and all the, like, dozen studios that helped make this game really wanted it to be so cut and dry as it is. I feel like a lot of the reason for this game's sameness comes at the corporate level. And if they can just get it through their thick skulls that this isn't something that's going to work anymore, it's the same reason that Telltale failed, And so it's not that these games aren't profitable anymore, it's that they're just not making them good anymore. At least some. So that's my whole spiel with Far Cry 6. I think there's a lot of fun to be had. There's, it's an enjoyable enough game, but it's just, it's not Far Cry 3. It's not peak Far Cry. There's some really cool things. There's some really awesome new stuff that they implement here that I would love to see just more of that and less of the same stuff we've already seen for the last 10 years. So, anyway. Yeah. So, obviously my thoughts on this aren't necessarily complete, as I haven't finished the game. Not sure how much I'm going to talk about the game more on this podcast specifically. We'll kind of see how things go. But I'm still very, very busy. I'm going home next week, so I'm not going to have a lot of time to play then, because I'm going to be away from my PlayStation for a couple days. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. I'm a very busy person right now, and it sucks because there are so many awesome games coming out. Like Alan Wake Remastered just came out. I have it installed on my PS5, and I haven't had a chance to play it yet, and it's driving me insane. I think I might try it out finally tomorrow. And then Back 4 Blood comes out soon, which we're going to talk about that in a little bit, and I'm super excited about that game. But anyway, let's get into the gaming news this week. First off, Ghost Recon Frontline, a free-to-play battle royale game, has been announced by Ubisoft. So this year is Ghost Recon's 20th anniversary, and to celebrate, they're making a battle royale, which I'm cautiously optimistic. Again, I just got through my whole spiel about Ubisoft and their practices, and I've also talked about the fact that I prefer my big AAA, single player, although I do enjoy multiplayer too, but like those big experiences versus my free-to-play live service games. I'm not, I prefer games like Far Cry 6 over Ghost Recon Frontline. However, they're still fun to be had. I've had a lot of fun with Warzone. I love Apex. Fortnite is a thing I respect very much, but do not personally play. So yeah, this is a thing. They didn't give a release date yet. I would assume it's going to come out sometime next year because they're already talking about betas, and there's going to be a PC beta in Europe, I think right now or very soon. But yeah, so they're doing some beta testing right now, but it looks like, they've got the core of it finished, right? They're just, building up the game from there. So I would imagine it will be coming out sometime next year, especially since it is free to play. So like, technically it's like games like that, they don't really need to perfect. Like, obviously it would be great if you did before you launched it, but they can always just fix it later. You know what I mean? Like, it just needs to be good enough. to just get out the door, and then they can keep updating it as they go through. They just need to get the core stuff right, and then they can shove it out. So, I don't think this is too far off, but no release date has been set yet. It's whatever. It's whatever, We'll see. I'll probably play it at some point, but yeah. I'm still waiting on their other free-to-play game that I was super excited about. I shouldn't have said that. The Roller Champions. I was super excited for that game, and then it just kind of died off. Like, what's going on with that game? Give me an update on Roller Champions, Ubisoft. I was so excited about that game, and then it just nothing ever happened to it. So, come on, guys. What the heck? But anyway, next up, we've got some Smash news to talk about, and there's one very obvious one, but I'm going to wait just a sec on that because some really cool news. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is adding Doomslayer as a Mii fighter. So now we can finally have our dream realized of Isabelle and Doomslayer in the same game together. So you can either fight alongside her in team battles, or you can fight her or him, depending on who you're playing as. You can fight against one another. It's a thing now. It's coming October 16th, I think, if I remember correctly. October 18th. So, yeah, that is super dope. They're also bringing the Octoling, but I don't really care about that. And so, finally, the final DLC character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is Sora from Kingdom Hearts. Most people who care about this topic already know this, but yeah, we're finally getting Sora. This has been requested for the past 10 years, and so now it's finally here, guys. It's finally happening. We're finally getting Sora, and yeah, it seems pretty cool. I'm excited to check it out. I'm not gonna lie, Smash is a little taboo for me now. I still really, really love the game, don't get me wrong, and I will 100% be playing when Sora comes out, but it was sort of the thing. It was right when Kiryu dropped from Tekken. It was the night that I was playing with my roommates and my one of my best friends, and that was the night that I got the call that my sister had just passed away, so I have not played the game since. After that, it was a solid month that I didn't even touch video games in general, mostly because I was just really busy dealing with, funeral arrangements and, helping out my family, and also, still trying to work and make sure I'm paying rent and all that. But I haven't touched the game since. I also feel bad because I really wanted to try out Kiryu more because I didn't really get into him that much. That one night we played him a bunch, that was it, So I kind of wanted to check him out a little more. But I'll definitely be playing when Sora comes out, and but it represents a kind of period of my life that happened recently. So I've kind of stayed away from it out of fear of, just not great mental reaction to that. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm going to take a drink real quick, and then we'll move on to our next topic. Also, Kingdom Hearts is coming to Switch now, although in cloud form, and people are upset about that, which they should be. I feel like the first two games, at least, could easily run on the Switch. That whole thing. Kingdom Hearts 3, you can make a case for that, but, the other games should absolutely run on Switch. I don't know why they're on the cloud, but whatever. They're coming to Switch. Okay. So, next up, this is a really interesting topic. It's kind of like a small thing, but it could be potentially really big. Capcom is planning on making PC its main platform in the coming years. So, this doesn't necessarily mean that Capcom's going to be a PC exclusive, developer. That's not necessarily what this is saying, but basically the company's COO Haruhiro Sugimoto, I think I pronounced that right, I don't know, but he was quoted saying that the success of its PC software has been, quote, driving global sales, and that he thinks, quote, PCs will be the next big thing after smartphones. So he said PC is Yeah, that's basically what he just said. So, we have recently stated that we will make the PC our main platform. At this year's Tokyo Game Show, we focused on exhibiting the PC version of Monster Hunter Rise, and I think people will be able to experience the change in our approach. The pandemic is changing the way people look at PCs. Smartphones are convenient, but their screens are small, and their touch panels are difficult to operate, so they are not suitable for home working or school classes. I think PCs will be the next big thing after smartphones. So, it's so weird that he's talking about PCs in relation to smartphones, because it's like, you realize there are consoles too, right? Like, it's not just PCs and smartphones. Like, it's such a weird thing that he's focusing on, like comparing in the phones, because it's like, what about consoles, you know? Like, what about the Switch, which you launched Monster Hunter Rise on and have had a good relationship with? Or, you know, I think Capcom has usually geared towards Xbox in recent years, if I remember correctly. Like with Resident Evil, I think they partnered with Xbox over PlayStation. I don't remember, but yeah, it's really interesting. So whether or not this means, you know, we'll be getting more like PC exclusive stuff, who knows? I don't know. I don't necessarily think that, but they make a very valid point, because personally, it makes a lot more sense if you have the time and money and knowledge to really get into PC gaming. It's honestly preferable to a console, because it's one of those things where older games can still look really, really nice because of your rig. And the more a developer optimizes their games for PCs, the better they will operate on your newer stuff. So it really just helps games like become timeless, you know? You don't have to worry about backwards compatibility or anything like that. And so as long as the developers keep that PC support going, you know, it just makes it so that you never have to worry about your games, you know? So it's a really nice platform for that. My biggest thing about PC gaming that keeps me from really being a part of that whole PC master race thing, because I play a bunch of games on PC. I am a PC gamer on top of playing on console. But I definitely prefer my console for the main reason of, when something goes wrong on my console, 90% of the time it's the dev's fault or Sony's fault. Whereas on the PC, if something's wrong with my PC, 90% of the time it's my fault, because everything's custom there. And so there's, you know, millions of different combinations of PC parts out there that developers have to develop for. And so it's like, yes, it can sometimes be the dev's fault, because there's plenty of poorly optimized PC games, but a lot of times it's just like, I'm throwing darts at the dartboard trying to figure out what's wrong with my PC, and it's really annoying. And so it's just so much more simple to play on a console, and, you know, you can try and get the best rig and do all that sort of stuff, but you're still occasionally going to have issues, just because that's the way PC gaming works, and it's very stressful. And that's my main gripe with PC gaming. I still love it a lot. I understand the appeal, and I'm hoping next summer to get like a super fancy new PC rig. But yeah, I just, until then, it's like, it's one of those things where, yeah, so I don't know. But anyway, yeah, very interesting coming from Capcom, and that they just compared it to smartphones instead of, you know, consoles, which is the very obvious comparison. I don't know. But yeah, they were really stressing that PCs are better than phones. So, yeah. Anyway, finally on the docket, PlayStation officially acquired Blue Point Games, something that's been rumored for a while, and confirmed that their next game is going to be an original game, not a remake. So, their past couple games, you know, they remade Shadow of the Colossus, and then they remade Demon Souls, both of which were fantastic, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Shadow of the Colossus. Don't tell anybody, because people get mad at me for it. But, yeah, they're doing an original game, which, rumor has it, and I have no idea how credible these rumors are, they might be making a return trip to Yharnam. Or we will be making a return trip to Yharnam. Meaning, it is rumored that they're working on Bloodborne 2, which I absolutely believe, because they killed it on Demon Souls, PlayStation acquired them, PlayStation owns the rights to Bloodborne, just like they do with Demon Souls, or at least I believe so. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think so. And, you know, From Software, they've been doing their own thing. Like, they're working on Elden Ring now. It seems like they're kind of done with the Soulsborne franchise. They want to continue to innovate the genre some more and, you know, dip into new IPs. So it makes perfect sense to outsource Bloodborne 2 to Blue Point. They proved that they can, you know, they proved that they can handle the property with Demon Souls. And so now, just making a sequel to one of the greatest games ever made, absolutely. And it has me super excited. Again, these are just rumors. It's not confirmed, but it's perfect. It's perfect. And so I really hope that is what's going on. But yeah, we could be seeing Bloodborne 2 from Bluepoint. Who knows? But man, oh man, if that's the case, that is nuts and very exciting. But anyway, let's talk about the games coming this week. First off, a game we've already talked plenty about. It's Far Cry 6, which is out on PS5, Xbox Series S and X, PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Google Stadia. Out today. Dive into the gritty world of a modern-day guerrilla revolution to liberate a nation from a dictator and his son. I've talked plenty about this game. You don't need any more information. But yeah, it's out today. So if you hear what I've said today and, you're like, oh, that seems like the game for me, there you go. You're welcome. Then out tomorrow, we've got Tetris Effect Connected for Nintendo Switch. Tetris Effect Connected is Tetris like you've never seen it or heard it or felt it before. An incredibly addictive, unique, and breathtakingly gorgeous reinvention of one of the most popular puzzle games of all time from the people who brought you the award-winning Res Infinite and legendary puzzle game Luminous. Yeah, this is not the first time I've talked about Tetris Effect Connected on this show. Maybe it won't be the last. Who knows? I don't know what they could port it to. I guess Stadia. I don't know. But yeah, it's coming to Switch. It's an amazing game. You should definitely check it out if you haven't. And taking it on the go sounds like a lot of fun. So yeah, go for it. Also out tomorrow. I will talk about it when I take my drink here. It's Metroid Dread. This is a big one. Upon investigating a mysterious transmission on planet ZDR, Samus faces a mysterious foe that traps her in this dangerous world. The remote planet has been overrun by vicious alien life forms and murderous robots called Emmy. Hunt or be hunted as you make your way through a labyrinth of enemies in Samus's most intense side-scrolling adventure yet. So, the reviews dropped today, and they are very, very positive. Some of them claiming that this is, one of the best Metroid games yet. So, yeah, very exciting. I've never actually played a Metroid game before. It's a franchise I missed. I didn't really get into games until like 2011, 2012, and so it just was not a franchise I was accustomed to. So I never played, but I might have to jump in now. We'll see. There's just so many games coming out that it's probably going to be one that I will inevitably miss. But I've been thinking about picking up the Swell Lead, so I might get it to test it out. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I'm pretty strapped for cash right now, so it's probably not going to happen, but it might. We'll see. And then out on Tuesday, or out today if you have the deluxe edition, Back 4 Blood is out on PS5, Xbox Series S and X, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Back 4 Blood is a thrilling cooperative first-person shooter from the creators of the critically acclaimed Left 4 Dead franchise. Experience the intense 4-player co-op narrative campaign, competitive multiplayer as human or ridden, and frenetic gameplay that keeps you in the action. So yeah, I'm very pumped for this game. The response to the alphas and betas were super positive, and yeah, we're finally getting Left 4 Dead 3, folks, just not how we anticipated, and I am so excited. I have it installed on my PS5 and ready to go. When I'm going to get the chance to play it, who knows. I got the deluxe edition too, so yeah, we'll see. I might play it tomorrow. I talked about how I was going to maybe play Alan Wake Remastered tomorrow, but I might actually put that off and play Back 4 Blood instead. And by tomorrow, it's technically today for you guys, because I'm recording this on Wednesday. But anyway, yeah. Then finally on Tuesday, we've got Monster Crown for PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Dive into a dark world where monsters rule and make pacts with them to defeat an evil young woman seeking power. Hunt, battle, tame, and breed monsters to create your own legacy. Together with your monsters, you can restore the balance to Crown Island. So, this has a really cute pixelated art, and not to say that it's like, an M-rated game or anything, but it does seem to have a more, mature, more mature themes to it, so it seems kind of like a grown-up version of Pokemon, in a sense. So yeah, this is a creature collector game. Seems like it could be some good fun, but yeah, that comes out on Tuesday. Then we talk about the off hours before I get out of here. It looks like it's going to be a bit of a shorter episode this week. Honestly, I'm not feeling 100% up to par. I've been very exhausted. It's been an exhausting weekend. And then also yesterday, last night was my one day. I take one day a week at least because usually you're supposed to have yourself a weekend like 2 days, right? I don't really get that, so I have one night I give myself. Just one night I give myself. So I'm nursing a hangover right now, so yeah, not feeling 100% there right now, and I already wasn't beforehand, and this is not helping the situation. But yeah, on my off hours, like I said, I've been playing a lot of Far Cry 6. I went and saw the new Venom movie, Let There Be Carnage. I thought it was a solid 7 out of 10. I think the biggest thing against it is that it wasn't rated R, because Carnage in the comics murders a lot of people very sadistically, and you can tell that it is very obviously censored in this movie. And so the real Carnage would have went much, much more hard. He kind of does with Venom, because it's one of those things where like they're CGI monsters fighting each other. So for some reason the rating association is just like, I don't see anything when it comes to like them tearing the crap out of each other. But when it comes to real people, it's like, nope, can't do that. Nope, lots of explosions and everything to cover stuff up, and no gore or anything like that. But you can rip Venom to shreds. And so it's one of those things, like the Venom Carnage fight was awesome. It had to have been, so that was cool. There were some really cool moments in it, but overall it was good. Wasn't great. I'm super excited for the future of the Venom franchise for reasons that are spoilers. But yeah. So I'm a sucker for superhero movies, but it was good. It was good. I watched the finale of What If this morning. Freaking great. Again, I think the biggest detriment to the show is that the episodes are only 30 minutes long, because the stories they're trying to tell are very big and can't really fit that 30-minute time frame. Some of them do. Like, I thought the Sorcerer Supreme episode was really good. I thought in terms of what they were trying to tell and in pacing, it was paced out like pretty good, as well as the T'Challa Star-Lord one. But there are a lot of episodes where they just try to cover a lot of ground very quickly, and it's obvious, and it's just the pacing doesn't work well with it. So, and again, since it's an anthology series and animation is very expensive, I completely understand why. It's just, I think they kind of need to like tone down the stories a little bit more if that's what they're going for, or cough up the cash. Like, you get it going, make them longer. And so that's the biggest hurdle What If needs to get over to become like the truly like elite MCU entry. But it's still really, really great, and I'm excited for season 2, and it was a hell of a finale. Awesome stuff. I'm also 2 episodes into Squid Game. Haven't finished it because I've been so busy, but it is a great show. Yeah, what's his name? Songwoo is my nightmare. It's like, I worry about disappointing like my mother and my life just falling apart, and just that becoming him all the time. Like, that is my worst fear. And so to have that realized in a show, I'm just like, oh god. It's just like, oh god. Low key sent me into a little panic attack while watching it. But it is a great show. Heavily recommend it if you've been living under a rock and haven't heard of it or seen it yet. Yeah, just go watch it. It's nuts. It is nuts. I've also been watching Foundation, which the first 2 episodes, it's the new show on Apple TV, which is based off of one of the biggest sci-fi franchises of all time that they said couldn't be adapted to TV because it's a very dense series, which I now understand why. Because the first 2 episodes were really, really good. I love the world that they were setting up and everything, and there's just, the cast is great, the set pieces are great. It was really awesome. I really enjoyed the first 2 episodes. And then the 3rd episode came out, and it really, really sucked. It's like they were pushing the show in this one direction, and then like they had events happen towards the end of the 2nd episode that very obviously were going to kind of like change the direction a little bit, but instead of like going and continuing with that, they're like, okay, now we're going to take the plot and we're going to move it all the the way over here and just do something completely different. And it's just like, what? And so, yeah, I'm not happy with it after episode 3, but I'm hoping they can course correct a little bit. We'll see. But I now understand why the reviewers were like, yeah, this show isn't great. And so, because they've seen more than we have. But, yeah, I will still be watching, but the third episode pissed me off. The first 2 were great, though. I really love the first 2, and I still think you should get into it for those episodes. But be prepared for episode 3, because it's just... I was like, why am I watching this? Why do I care about this? This is stupid. I want to get back to this. But you took me all the way over here, and it's just... like, it had to have been fluff. It doesn't make any sense to me. And it's like, with the series so dense, why is there a fluff episode? I don't get it, you know? And, like, maybe they'll connect it back somehow, I don't know, but it's just way too much going on, even if they're doing that. Just go away. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing with there. And so, with that, that's going to be the end of the episode for me. So, yeah, next week, I don't know what we're going to talk about, but we'll have some fun. I'll probably talk about Back 4 Blood, actually. We'll have some fun with that. Maybe I'll talk about Alan Wake Remastered, even though I know it's a little late for that, but we'll just kind of see, because like I said, I will be going home, but there will still be an episode, because I'll be back before then, probably. And so, yeah, see an episode next week. I'll make sure to remember to do it. Thank you guys again for watching / listening / whatever you're doing to participate in this content. But, yeah, it means a lot. So thank you guys. And I will see you guys next week. So, until then, bye.